Alright, should we do patch preview for next patch while we wait? Let's see what Riot Froxron is gonna yap a little bit here, right? Okay, let's see. We cut Vars and Zara from the patch for waiting a little longer for the meta to settle before acting. Boo! I fucking hate that. Boo! You guys shouldn't have done that. ADC changes will be isolated to Corki, Ezreal, Ashe. Item changes this patch are aimed to bring up some weaker options in Void, Seljas, while smoothing out some of the build paths for crit items. Okay. Difficult build paths are good for having clear success and failure between good. I've done its moments and bad recalls, but these are a bit too painful, even for those. I completely disagree with this, by the way. They're buffing LDR because LDR has a weak build path, but I just think it's so wrong. Like, what? There's so many items that have a weak build path and are really strong when you complete it. Like, let's say, for example, Criblum. Criblum doesn't even have that good of a build path. Like, Blight and Jewel is just a terrible item. Like, what? Karma. Changes that are geared at bringing her support now that she's no longer a pro-dominant flex. Nafiri has struggled to find audience. Yeah. Despite being at pretty high power levels. How? That's just a shit apply. It's 1st April. We're experimenting with her in the jungle. That's good. I think this is good. Nafiri has a kit that makes way more sense to be a jungle champion than a lane champion. I've said that a long time ago. Now that was over-nerfed pretty heavily. We're bringing some of the power back. Talon warrants a bit of a buff, however we want to avoid jungle getting too strong. This is also good. I think Talon, while he does probably deserve a buff in its own way, is a very brain-dead champion. Especially in jungle. I think Talon jungle is way less skilled than Talon mid. Vlad is pretty weak across the board, buffing him to be a little less punishing on using W to dodge, as well as increasing incentives to go forward with the pull. Yon has dropped a bit more patch over patch than his brother after the 14-point changes. Kappa! It was fairly obvious Yon is weak. You guys should have buffed it at 14.9 micro patch. You didn't because Freak has ego, because Freak goes and says, oh, Yon is not weak, you're building wrong, blah 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 blah. Yeah, you guys are just fucked up. Targeted some buffs that allow him to go through lane a bit better. He has dropped a bit more in top, so armor should help in a lot of matchups there. Yuumi is just weak on the patch. We know some players are going to be upset that we're buffing Yuumi and prefer she's just not a champion. Definitely understand that perspective. However, we see the value of Yuumi for the audiences. She is popular with them. She serves the purpose in the game while being a good learning bonding moment for players with the new friends, and we're doing a disservice for those players by keeping her weak. Akali is pretty high mastery champ and her current performance levels are cresting over 50%. Also, next patch is going to be indirectly buffed by first strike being weaker. Additionally, our anti-pro elite skew work done on Akali to make her easy to play in recent years have been pretty effective to the point that she's actually quite potent in normal play as well. That makes sense. They did remove a lot of animation cancels, which are better in pro players' hands and blah blah blah. As a result, we're targeting some changes that will be more effective at nerfing regular play. It's somewhat desirable that there are some champions that are demonstrably more powerful in higher skill brackets as they have a skill fantasy associated with them. Makes sense. Auction is a bit too strong, especially in Elite, bringing his early trading down. I agree. Ashe Corki. Ashe has risen to the top of ADC, similar to Corki, spiking on 1 and 2 items or bringing both of them down. I wish they would nerf utility on Ashe. It's too strong. It's not damage, I think it's utility that's the problem. For Corki, we're distributing power into Qmax and Emax. Well, I think this is a good decision. I don't think it's going to make Corki much better or less oppressive. Aatrox has been building vitality for a while. Now we're getting around to making him more durable builds. I think this is good for the game. Blitzcrank is powerful right now. In addition, he's drawing a lot of bans, especially in China, where he's the most banned support in higher skill brackets. Okay, so now we get the reasoning why they're nerfing Blitz. It's not actually because of low elo, it's because of China. This is a China-specific nerf. Very interesting. This happened very rarely, but if you guys remember and go back in time, another champion they nerfed specifically for China was Kayn in the past. Mastery is a bit too strong. We think we made Mastery too hard to play and as a result undeserving some of his target audience who are looking for a simple champion who just clicks on you. What? We think we made Mastery too hard to play. What? What? The nerfs are aimed at reducing some of the optimization incentive power in his kit. What? Are we fucking kidding? Is this a joke? Rexa, for a high master champ, Rexa is hitting a bit too high and has been stale for a while. He means winning it, I agree. Targeting some changes to bring her down. Fun fact, Skarner top does not get played in jungle in China and only played in top. By contrast, other regions love playing him as a jungler in top. Top versus jungler seems similarly strong, but top's gameplay pattern presents few vulnerabilities. We resolved WMAX, and now we're going after how stat checky he is in early lane phase. While that's good, I mean, I guess that's fine. Shinamar is too strong right now. Realistically, should be closer to 49-50%. where he's currently due to his play pattern being rather frustrating for the other 9 players. This is not true. It's for the other 5 players. Tryndamere is not a frustrating champion for the teammates. It's only frustrating for the people playing against it, so this is not true. We're particularly happy about him rushing Ravenous as it makes his gameplay even more uninteractive split push, but we're not going to make able to resolve this in the changes. Makes sense. I agree, Ravenous Hydra is the problem. Twisted Fate has shown to have 2 distinct builds in 2 roles, which is great, and we want to continue to support. He's a bit too strong overall, so we're giving him a top down with a slight lean towards nerfing top a little more. Okay, now let's go over one by one really fast. So first of all, Ezreal buffs. AD growth up, Q damage up, R damage up. Okay, these are good buffs. Ezreal does not need more durability, nor does he need more like escape with E or whatever. These are good buffs. They buff the skills that are skill expressive, like AD growth. I mean, AD growth maybe not so much, but Q and R especially. I think this is very good. Now the R, yeah, I mean, this is just good. I can't complain. I think these are good buffs. They're exactly what needs to be done. Karma. Insane. This is insane. E shield 20 damage, 20 shield up. R bonus shield 30 more on up rank, and then this one, ER and E move speed duration up by 0.5 seconds. Insane. Now obviously they're not gonna bring back Karma Q Max or Karma W or whatever, which is good, but I wouldn't be surprised if Karma is open support with this. Like, I really wouldn't. Like, these are insane buffs. Like the speed especially. What the F? Naafiri, pack made damage up by early game mostly, and a little bit by scaling. Q cooldown down by 2 early, late game same. Q bleed, execute now affects small monsters, and Q2 heals now large epic monsters. I'm not sure how good Naafiri jungle is gonna be. These are good mainly early game buffs for Naafiri. It's gonna make her a little bit better in lane. I think this is deserved, I can't complain. However, I still don't think the champion is gonna be very good in high elo. This champion is more of a low elo skill, low elo, noob stomper. Nyla health regen up by 2, which is a laning phase buff, and armor growth up by late game, which is late game buff basically. Not much to say. Generic durability buff by Nyla for Nyla. Talon, Q cast time now scales with attack speed, quick step, which is totally fine. This is more like a quality of life change. W jungle monster up a little bit down, and W outgoing damage up by 10. I think this is good. I don't hate these talent changes. I think these are good buffs because also they're buffing thankfully W2, not W1. W2 can be dodged, W1 usually can't be, right? So this is good. Vladimir, honestly, feels bad for every Vladimir player out there. You know, you could get such a good set of buffs, like maybe your E getting buffed, maybe your ult getting buffed, I don't know, maybe your passive getting buffed, maybe something else. Nope, you guys get a fucking W buff, which is the most worthless fucking damage spell ever that gets used for damage in so little cases. Like, this is a joke, bro. So, okay, last current health, W heals more and W has more health ratio. Bro, come on, this is the lamest buff ever. Yon getting another giga lame buff to armor up by 3. Are you... what? I think this buff is a joke. I think Yon should probably just get Q damage increased or something like that. I don't know. Honestly, also, Yon ult has gotten so much weaker because every ADC now has move speed in items, and move speed completely counters Yon ult. I don't know. I hate this buff. I just think this is a joke. Yuumi, E cooldown down by 2, so mainly an early game buff, because probably maxes this first, I'm not sure. R heal up by 10. Yeah, not too big buffs for Yuumi. She's still gonna be bad, doesn't matter. Recommended rune updates for certain champs, I don't know. So then Akali, okay, so they were planning to make magic resist nerf for Akali. Now they changed. And the way they're nerfing Akali is the worst way to nerf Akali. IMO, the magic resist nerf, was so much better for Akali than what it is right here. Why would you ever nerf damage on an assassin that's main job is supposed to kill you? No, she should be squishy, she should be burstable, her shank should be damaged. I hate this change. 100 damage off E base and an AP scale nerf on E. I hate it. I think this is completely wrong way to nerf Akali. Auction. Passive damage level 1 to 5, 15. Level 6 to 10, 40. Level 1 to 15, 80. Level 16 to 18, 150. So I guess it's just nerf overall. Less trading power for auction. E damage is also going to be total AD, which I believe, and less base damage. So I believe it's an early game nerf, and you need 480 to 80 to be buffed. So in any case, auction is nerfed. I think this is probably deserved because in high, low, and mid lane, auction is just like free elo climb. Ashe passive crit damage. down by 10%. I don't think it's the end of the world for Ashe, but I am wondering if this is the right way to nerf the champion. Blitzcrank 50 held down and passive duration goes up to 10 seconds. This is no matter what probably a nerf to the champion. I just think it's a bit sad that they're doing this to Blitz, but if it's because of China, well, can't say much about it. Mastery Q bonus damage goes down by 10, and W initial damage reduction goes to 70%, and W cooldown goes 1 up. I don't think it's the end of the world for Mastery, but I guess some of defensiveness is getting nerfed here, and maybe some clear split. Not the end of the world, I think. Rek'Sai Q attack speed down by 10, W damage down by 20. Alright. Still gonna be pretty strong in high elo, I think, but yeah, okay. Pretty small nerfs too. Skarner, 40 held down, a little bit better scaling, but overall a nerf. And then passive damage down by 2% early, 1 by late. I definitely think this is probably a good way to nerf Skarner, but again, why is his Q like 50 mana or 30 mana or whatever? We should really give his Q like a real mana cost as an ability. Tryndamere, Q bonus 80 down by 5, E damage down by 5. I mean, yeah. Makes Tryndamere even more reliant IMO to play Ravenous playstyle, and yeah, I mean, huge laning phase nerfs. Like, these are mainly early game nerfs. Like, obviously, when you're mid to late game, you're not gonna feel the nerf that much, but yeah, I mean, his early game is getting pretty nerfed here for sure. All lane's weaker and everything. I mean, he's still probably gonna be one of the strongest mids. I don't think this is gonna change really for solo queue. Ravenous Hydra is just that oppressive, and his playstyle is just that easy, but yeah. So then we have Twisted Fate. And the reality is, okay, so let's look at Twisted Fate. AD growth down by 0.7. Okay, so this is like what? Like 10 AD nerf late game? Not bad for ADTF, definitely. FX ADTF way more. W mana cost up by 20, but then the blue card is also going to restore you 20 more. And it's only up 20 mana in early game. This does nothing to APTF, and I mean it, nothing. APTF is practically untouched. It's only AD that is getting maybe slightly nerfed, but I don't think it's enough either. Aatrox HP regen growth a little bit less, armor growth a little bit more. E healing is gonna be less base, but scales with bonus HP, which incentivizes him to build HP items. E no longer increased to 20 to 36, but now the R is gonna increase it by a lot more. So I don't know exactly what the math comes here, but I guess it's like kind of like if you buy HP, you heal probably equal or more. The thing about here that's important is that, yeah, I mean, Aatrox is just more incentivized to build HP items. I think long term this is good for the champion, but I'm not sure if this particular change is enough to make him be only is enough to make him not build lethality items. Corki, minus 3 AD, a little bit more attack speed growth, Q damage up by 20, Q cooldown down by 1. Ooh, that's new. Okay, Q AP ratio up a little bit, doesn't matter. E damage down by 20, E shot down by 4, E mana up late. Okay, this definitely makes Corki BQ max, no doubt about it. I still think the champ is probably overall nerfed here, in any case, but yeah, I don't think this is probably enough to like kill Corki or whatever, anything like that, but yeah, Q max is gonna be the play. Lord Dominic's is getting a undeserved buff to the item because it has pickaxe in the build. Selja's Grudge is getting 5% more armor pen. I wish they would buff the lethality scale. I think that was a way better way to buff the item. Yeah, I mean, okay, so I think, so if I'm not mistaken, armor pen, Selja's Grudge usually gives you around 28 or 29% armor pen when you're like kind of in late game. Now it's gonna give you around 34 to 35%, which is like around 5% less than LDR. Okay, sure. Now the item is actually fine. Yeah. Scout Slingshot down 100 gold, builds out of 2 daggers, rapid fire cannon, static shoe, hurricane, total prices unchanged. Still a shit item. Static shoe is getting probably the best build path upgrade, which is pickaxe adding to the build path. Static shoe is for sure getting the best build path here. Upgrade. Void Stuff 10 AP. Guys, we're not gonna be buying Void Stuff. Unless they have a shit ton of MR, we're not gonna be buying Void Stuff. So, nice try, Riot. First strike is that. 5 less gold and damage amp goes back to 7%. When damage amp was 7%, which was the patch before first strike got changed, so 14.9 we're talking about, first strike was already kind of bad back then, and dead on majority of champions. So I do honestly think this rune is gonna probably be that. I don't think this rune is gonna be played anymore, which means every long range mage like Zart and Lux is getting heavily nerfed by this, and champions that don't care about first strike like Galio and solo queue is getting buffed. Noonquiver AD down by 5, gold efficiency down to 107%. I don't think the item's that good, but it has pickaxe in the build, right? So that's the good part about it, I think. Actually, no, Noonquiver doesn't have pickaxe in the build. I kind of forgot what Noonquiver's build path is. I don't think the item is good. Does he have pickaxe in the build path, chat? Noonquiver? I think it might. Noonquiver is longsword and cloak. Okay. Wait, it's longsword and cloak? Okay, well, okay. Sure, the build path of LDR then is a little bit better, but it almost does nothing. Never mind. I thought it had pickaxe in the build, that's why I was like, well, why is LDR getting buffed? But no pickaxe in the build doesn't really mean that LDR is that buffed, to be honest. It's kind of like whatever. And yeah, that's the patch. Those are my thoughts. I'm sad for mid lane. Mid lane's getting like really fucking nerfed, and mid lane meta is gonna really change because I think first check is gonna die. Mid lane is just getting nerfed, no compensation buffs. There's no mid lane champion that's getting buffed this patch besides Yone, but Yone buff is not really targeted towards mid. And Vladimir buff is a joke. So yeah, and Talon is not enough for mid. It's bigger buff for jungle. So yeah, rest in peace mid lane. It was nice while it lasted.